Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Peter Dubois. First tonight, one day after the 6-month anniversary of the Lewiston mass shooting, Governor Mills signed a gun control bill into law that she authored herself.
The bill addresses 3 areas of concern highlighted by the governor in her State of the State address. It strengthens Maine's yellow flag law, extends the requirement for background checks for all advertised firearm sales, and incentivizes background checks for unauthorized sales, or unadvertised sales, rather. Advocates of the new law say this is a great first step, while opponents say this won't help keep Maine safer.
I think today is a great day of showing proof that responsible gun ownership and gun safety can coexist. So I'm really proud of our state for taking this leadership role too. We're the 22nd state to create a background check to this degree. And so I think just the leadership again of making sure that we do preserve the gun culture that we have, but also recognize the proactive role that we can take to ensure that our communities remain safe is imperative. And so I think it's a day that we can all celebrate.
Now, because the bill wasn't passed as emergency legislation, it will go into effect 90 days after the legislature adjourns.
The current sheriff in Saginaw County is being challenged by one of his own deputies in the county sheriff's race. Both have been criticized for not taking steps that may have prevented the Lewiston tragedy after the sheriff's office was warned twice about Robert Card. Brad Rogers sat down with Sheriff Joel Mary today.
As a sheriff, do you take responsibility for some of the mistakes that might have been made?
I take responsibility for our agency and what our agency does. It's certainly not indicative of our agency. We have a good agency. We have a caring agency. We have guys that are committed to this profession.
The sheriff's office says Army Reserve commanders downplayed the threat Card posed and withheld crucial information about his release from a psychiatric hospital. Army Reserve commanders blamed the sheriff's office for not taking Card into custody and seizing his firearms.
Following the Lewiston tragedy and all the criticism that has fallen on the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Joel Mary and Sergeant Aaron Schofield both thought about not running for office.
I considered dropping out of the race, but I had members of the public and members of the department that I work with say, no, we know you didn't do anything wrong.
Did you think about not running again?
You know, in light of everything that happened, last year, certainly the thought crossed my mind, what kind of statement would that make? And if we didn't get this right, we're going to get it right next time, and we're going to learn from it.
The sheriff says they've since used the yellow flag law numerous times to confiscate firearms from people posing a threat to themselves or others.
We've done 2 this week. We just did one last night.
Both candidates don't want the Lewiston tragedy to define them. Sheriff Mary says what's important is making sure this never happens again.
What can we learn from this, and what can we do better? And because we need to do that. We need to get these things right.
And that was Brad Rogers reporting. In other news tonight, it can sometimes be difficult for veterans to file claims and receive services over the phone or online. But in Bangor today, the VA Togus Regional Office worked to ease that burden. Over 100 veterans gathered at Bangor's Holiday Inn, where providers help veterans file claims for injuries sustained while serving our country. The event also included an examination truck and tables offering a multitude of resources from various organizations.
Veterans have served our country, and it is our sincere desire to ensure that every veteran and survivor is aware of the benefits they have earned.
Events like this not only help with filing claims, but as one Air Force veteran says, it also serves as a place to meet and learn from each other's experiences.
Networking's a big thing. Just like when you're in civilian life. I mean, the more people you know, you don't know when you'll need them again.
Well, to learn more about benefits, you can visit our website, foxbangor.com.
Spring cleaning is an annual tradition for so many of us, but there's more you should know about the cleaning products you use before reaching for that mop bucket. Specifically, the dangers of using too much of a product or combining products. Our David Ledford has safety tips from a chemistry expert.
Experts say mixing cleaning products can cause potentially hazardous chemical reactions and lead to serious health risks.
And there are 4 combinations that are especially dangerous.
Ammonia and bleach, that's the common household no-no. Do not mix those. They form chloramine gas, which when inhaled wreaks havoc on the inside of our bodies. Bleach with vinegar will form chlorine gas. Third, we have bleach again mixing with isopropyl alcohol, also known as rubbing alcohol. The fourth solution that you do not want to mix together is hydrogen peroxide and vinegar.
Husson University chemistry expert Cody Edson says these combinations of chemicals seen on your screen are the most common and can be deadly in some cases. But it's best to avoid mixing any kind of household cleaner.
You should not mix any chemicals. Always follow the instructions that are labeled on the bottle by the manufacturer.
It's also important to remember that twice as much is not twice as good. And when you do start to tidy up your home, it's important to give yourself some breathing room.
If you're going to be in an enclosed space, make sure you have some sort of ventilation, either a fan moving air out of the room or an open window. Wear proper protective equipment such as gloves, goggles.
For more on safe cleaning practices, visit our website.
Use a little bit of elbow grease. That's the best thing you can mix with any of these chemicals here.
In Bangor, David Ledford, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, around 70 Maine high school students were at the University of Maine at Augusta today to explore careers in public service. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke with students and organizers to learn more about this different take on a traditional career fair.
One of the goals of the Maine Municipal Association is to promote the wonderful opportunities in municipal government across the state, in careers in our towns and cities.
The coolest thing about this opportunity is that it's hometown careers. So this is right in their backyard where they don't have to travel far and they can stay right in the state of Maine.
Jobs for Maine graduates, the Maine Municipal Association, the University of Maine at Augusta, and the City of Augusta teamed up to showcase public service careers to Maine high school students.
A lot of open positions and really good career opportunities in towns and cities across the state.
Across the board for the state of Maine, we always need students to stay here. And it's a great opportunity for these students to start exploring these careers now.
Students agree that the career fair helped them get a look at careers they might be interested in.
I really want to join the medical field. I'm going to go to college to be an RN, so the paramedics and the EMTs really caught my eye.
The equipment that the police officers wear, they have a lot of different tools and different things for different jobs.
In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Unfortunately, it was a decent day to be outside at a job fair.
It certainly was, yeah. And how many opportunities do you get to have a job fair in a setting like that? So,
yeah, pretty great.
It is.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hit pause here, peek outside, and get a first check of our forecast.
All right, thank you. Your first weather is brought to you by Downey's Trailer Service, offering parts, sales, and full service repair on all trailers. Your local Load Right authorized dealer. Stop by or call us today at 207-813-0007. Weather-wise today, here we go. Highs back in the mid-50s. That felt good with plenty of sunshine. Tomorrow, though, we're going to go for low 60s with little to no wind. This thing is on. There's no clouds across the area now. And tomorrow is going to be cloud-free as well, followed by more clouds getting here tomorrow night. And more so on Sunday, courtesy of this system over here. But until then, a gorgeous day across our area for tomorrow. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is mostly clear skies, not as cold, with low temperatures down near 30. Your full forecast is coming up.
All righty, so a nice mild overnight heading our way.
A brisk one leading to a beautiful day tomorrow. We'll
Indeed.
have more details on that ahead.
We will. Stay with us.
The circus is coming! The circus is coming!
Don't miss this exciting new show featuring Bell & Knott comedy act as seen on America's Got Talent, Daredevil, comedian, legend, and more. The Anna Shrine Circus, April 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Bangor Cross Insurance Center.
Our biggest challenge? Uncertainty. Hidden fees, surcharges, who knows what to expect.
Turn shipping to your advantage.
Keep it simple with clear upfront pricing.
With USPS Ground Advantage.
A quality replacement window made with Fibrix material, which is twice as strong as vinyl, delivered through a stress-free process. Welcome to Renewal by Andersen. Get the peace of mind knowing Renewal by Andersen handles everything, from start to finish. With one call, you'll enjoy working with the best people, exclusive products, and a superior process.
It's the people. It's the process.
It's the product.
Call now to get our exceptional signature service. This fantastic offer is available only for a limited time. Renewal by Anderson, the better way to a better window.
Are you ready? It's Ford Truck Month, and we're celebrating 47 years as the best-selling trucks in America with special once-a-year offers on Ford F-Series, including the new 2024 Ford F-150 and Ford Super Duty, the North American Truck of the Year. It's time to celebrate America. This is Ford Truck Month. Now get 1.9% APR for 72 months on a 2023 Ford F-150 only at your New England Ford dealers.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance and I saved hundreds.
That's great.
I know, I've been telling everyone.
Liberty. Liberty.
How many people did you tell?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty, liberty. Liberty.
Birmingham, touchdown, Houston, or San Antonio, Arlington. The United Football League. Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox.
The circus is coming. The circus is coming.
Don't miss this exciting new show featuring Bell & Knott comedy act as seen on America's Got Talent, Daredevil, comedian, legend, and more. The Anna Shrine Circus, April 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Bangor Cross Insurance Center.
This summer, it's television's bulkiest family quiz show. Avoid the splash. Get the cash.
Who says size doesn't matter?
The Quiz with Balls premieres Tuesday, May 28th on Fox.
Welcome back. A new addition to Bangor's Vine Street School playground was planted today in celebration of National Arbor Day. Our Doug Banks has the story.
These students are our future just as much as these trees are.
City officials met with around 40 third graders on the playground of Vine Street School for a tree planting ceremony in recognition of National Arbor Day.
The school chose this spot and the school chose the tree. So we try to work with the school because it's going to be on their grounds and they're going to take care of it.
Students helped plant the Norway spruce tree and learned about it too.
If a tree gets infected, then it creates bubbles around it and kind of stops it from spreading.
To see them engage like that is really, really exciting.
Each year, Bangor City Council presents an Arbor Day proclamation. This year, their proclamation calls for a tree board to guide Bangor's work and protection of public trees. And it's only fitting, since Bangor has proudly worn the designation of Tree City USA from the Arbor Day Foundation for the last 19 years.
We're kind of on the edge of our rural state and our urban state, and we want to retain that rural feel as people come to the city. And what makes it feel more rural than trees?
While it may not look like it now, this Norway spruce tree will grow to around 80 feet in roughly 100 years.
Seeing them plant the dirt around the trees was amazing.
And some students have already marked their calendars.
That's the first time I've ever done this, and it's just a really good feeling.
Over the years, I'm sure the kids will come back after they leave Vine Street School and be able to really embrace that they were the part of the starting of this journey of the tree life.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, Northern Light Health has spent this week celebrating their invaluable hospital volunteers who they say contribute greatly to the well-being of staff, patients, and the community. The week-long celebration was part of National Volunteer Appreciation Week. There are more than 200 volunteers at Northern Light Health or Northern Light EMMC, including many humans, but also therapy dogs like Coda here. Today, folks were able to cast their votes for the Volunteer of the Year award, which will be given out at a later date. Volunteer duties at EMMC range from delivering trays to patients and helping out in the kitchen to carrying calls, wellness checks, and of course, therapy dogs and the humans who handle them.
We have about 60 different roles across the medical center, and they really provide and fill the gap of the emotional, social pieces that our staff unfortunately don't always have time to access because they're busy with the physical needs.
We are told the youngest volunteers are high school age students who are there during the summer program, and the oldest volunteer is in her 90s. Coventry says they're looking for more volunteers, and some of the roles they'd like to fill include hospital entrance greeters, filling more spots in the Caring Calls program, as well as local artists and musicians who can contribute using their own unique talents. For more information on how you can get involved, you can click the link in this story on our website a little later tonight, foxbangor.com.
So
Love
lots
CODA.
of opportunities there for really anyone who wants to get involved to give back.
And such a wide range of needs that they have. So it's, there's almost no matter what what you'd like to do or get involved in, chances are they've got a spot for you.
Love that.
All right. Well, coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, we'll have the latest on Israel's war with Hamas ahead of a planned offensive into southern Gaza.
And student demonstrations against Israel's occupation in Gaza continue at campuses across the country. Those stories and more when we come back.
Transform your surroundings with Paramount Paving, located in Bangor. They are your paving and seal coating experts. Whether it's residential maintenance to full commercial projects, Paramount Paving delivers quality that lasts. Book before June 1st and enjoy a $250 Visa gift card upon completion of your next paving project. Call us today at 602-8931 or visit us at ParamountPavingLLC.com. Paramount Paving, setting the standard for excellence. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Welcome to 207 Wellness, where transformation begins from within. Embark on a journey of self-betterment with our comprehensive services from weight management to IV hydration, vitamin supplementation, and neurotoxin injections. 207 Wellness is here to support your wellness goals. Take the first step toward a healthier, happier you, rejuvenate your body, refresh your mind, and reclaim your vitality with 207 Wellness. Transform your wellness, transform your life. Give us a call today.
Corendia presents the ABCs of CKD. C is for chronic, because chronic kidney disease and type 2 diabetes gets worse over time. K is for kidneys, because kidney damage can lead to kidney failure and dialysis. D is for doing more to protect your kidneys. Corendia is for adults with CKD and type 2 diabetes and is a once-daily tablet that is proven to reduce the risk of kidney failure, which can lead to dialysis. Corendia also slows the progression of kidney damage and reduces the risk of cardiovascular events such as heart attacks. Do not take Corendia if you have problems with your adrenal glands or take certain medications called CYP3A4 inhibitors. Corendia can cause high potassium levels in your blood. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and ask before taking potassium supplements or salt substitutes containing potassium. Corendia can also cause low blood pressure and low blood sodium. Kidney damage from CKD and type 2 diabetes is not reversible. Don't wait to ask your doctor if Corendia is right for you.
I'm glad I got my colonoscopy when I did, right at age 50, because they found a large tumor. I had absolutely no symptoms beforehand.
If you're 50 or older, ask your provider about screening for colon cancer. Today, you have options for colon cancer screening.
I'm celebrating 6 years cancer-free and thankful for every minute of it.
Did you know that it's possible to prevent colorectal cancer with regular screening? Learn more at screenmaine.org.
There's one number you need to know. It's called Joe.
New information is emerging about the much-anticipated Israeli offensive into southern Gaza. This comes amid increased activity on a site intended to allow for additional humanitarian aid to flow into the region. Fox's Jeff Paul is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
A new satellite image appears to show construction of an aid port near Gaza City. The site will eventually be the home of a temporary U.S. military pier, similar to this one, that's currently being built miles offshore. As the war in Gaza continues, security concerns were heightened this week when the port came under fire during a mortar attack.
This occurred before any U.S. forces, have started moving anything. There'll be no U.S. forces on the ground.
All of this happening as Israel signals it's getting closer to a major ground operation in the southern city of Rafah. It's home to an estimated 1.3 million civilians seeking shelter from the war. Many are now forced to leave once again.
This is the third time we're relocating. There's no safety anywhere.
Tents are now going up a few miles north of Rafah in Deir al-Balah as civilians try to avoid the fighting.
We came here and there's been shelling. Several strikes last night, and they tell you it's a safe place. How is it a safe place?
Beyond Gaza's borders, tensions are running high throughout Israel. Crowds demonstrating in both Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, frustrated by a lack of progress on a hostage deal. Families of the 133 still missing, including 8 Americans, are pushing world leaders to do more.
So I ask everyone to bring back their focus to the release of the hostages, because that will also solve so many of the other issues
President Biden's national security advisor Jake Sullivan said today he saw fresh momentum in ongoing hostage talks. However, Hamas says it will not back down from its demands of a permanent ceasefire and a full withdrawal of Israeli troops, something Israel has rejected. In Tel Aviv, Israel, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Israeli police clashed with a group of rabbis protesting at the Israel-Gaza border. The protesters were a group from the U.S. and Israel who are demanding a ceasefire with Hamas and the delivery of aid to the Gaza Strip. Police arrested several demonstrators. One American rabbi said this Passover season must be a season of liberation for all people, including those in Gaza.
One of the reasons we're doing this right now is that we're in the middle of Passover. Many of us, including myself, are rabbis, and a big part of the Passover celebration is about food. The main symbol of Passover that everybody knows is matzah. Matzah, the unleavened bread, is a symbol of both the difficulty of the exodus, of having to leave Egypt so quickly, but it's also a symbol of freedom. And what this means is that even in this moment, we are not providing the Gazan people with the basic fundamentals they need to be able to even envision liberation like we had from Egypt. And so at this point, to do this action now really resonates with the spirit of the season. Passover is the spirit Passover is the season of our liberation, and we want it to be a season of liberation for all people, because no people are free unless all people are free.
Meanwhile, police and anti-war protesters are clashing on university and college campuses in several cities. The demonstrations causing some administrators to reconsider their traditional spring activities. Fox's Steve Harrigan is near Columbia University's campus in New York with the latest.
University officials across the country are racing to figure out graduation plans. These fast-moving protests at some of the nation's top schools show no signs of stopping.
We remain diligent and steadfast in our convictions. It will not be intimidated by the university's disturbing threat to our lives.
In New York, Columbia University says there's no new deadline for protesters to leave. After the latest one expired at midnight, the tents remain up. As the school says, talks about protester demands for divesting and amnesty for those disciplined are progressing, and claim they will not call in the New York Police Department. In Washington, D.C., Jewish students at George Washington University expressed fear during a second day of protests.
This is a very scary time to be living as a Jewish university student on any campus anywhere. We're afraid for our safety.
Fox's Griff Jenkins is on campus.
Student protesters continue to occupy the University Yard here at GW behind me, defying an order to vacate last night. So far, we've not seen the violent encounters like at other protests, but Jewish students, like the one you just heard from, say they feel threatened by the rhetoric and signs like this one that reads "Final Solution" next to an Israeli flag. The university has warned students who remain in the yard they may be temporarily suspended.
In Georgia, classes went virtual at Emory University after chaotic and violent scenes yesterday. Fox's Jonathan Seri is in Atlanta.
The decision to move classes online came out of an abundance of caution after yesterday's heated protests in which 28 people were arrested. Protesters did return to the campus quad this afternoon, but so far the demonstrations have been peaceful.
With hundreds of arrests nationwide, classes coming to a halt, and students and teachers feeling threatened, former Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg says it's time for honest conversations.
University is a time where you can talk about any issue, open dialogue. But when you see students yelling at the Columbia campus to a Jewish student, "Go back to Poland," when you see someone saying October 7th is going to happen to you, that's not okay.
In New York, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapping up a trip to China, including a sit-down with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two leaders showed some agreement on a few issues, but as Fox's Rebecca Castor reports, the leaders are facing a myriad of contentious issues as they try to mend their relationship.
A warm greeting between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Chinese President Xi Jinping Friday, wrapping up Blinken's three-day trip to Beijing, filled with hot-button issues and warnings from both sides.
I returned to China this week to take stock of where we've made progress and where more needs to be done.
The Secretary of State raised a number of concerns, including economic competition, artificial intelligence, and fentanyl precursor chemicals originating from China. But the main purpose for Blinken's trip was to warn China against its support for Russia in its war with Ukraine.
Russia would struggle to sustain its assault on Ukraine without China's support.
For their part, Chinese officials raised the issue of America's growing military alliance with Taiwan. But President Xi still expressed interest in wanting better relations between the two countries.
The two countries should be partners, not rivals. They should achieve mutual success, not harm each other.
The visit comes a few weeks after President Biden spoke with Xi on the phone. Despite disagreements on a number of issues, communication between the two countries is increasing. But some White House critics think it's all for show.
This is talk for the sake of talk, and frankly, I think the Biden administration is just hoping they can get through the next handful of months without something exploding in Asia in the same way it has in the Middle East and in Europe.
One thing that did not come up between the leaders, the potential TikTok ban in the U.S., even though the clock is ticking for the app's Chinese parent company to sell. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A second paramedic is sentenced after being found guilty of homicide for injecting a man with anesthetic. Paramedic Jeremy Cooper spoke in court before a judge sentenced him to 4 years probation. The victim in the case, 23-year-old Elijah McLean, died in 2019, 6 days after being stopped by police and forcibly restrained. McLean was black, and the 3 officers and 2 paramedics charged in the case are all white. The police and paramedics were responding to a call of a suspicious person. Both paramedics were found guilty of criminally negligent homicide for injecting McLean with ketamine, which they did in an effort to calm him. The other paramedic and one of the officers were sentenced to time in prison. The other officers were acquitted.
Cross-examination continued today in Manhattan as former President Trump's legal team had its turn questioning the former publisher of the National Enquirer. It comes as the hush money trial enters its 8th day. Fox's David Spunt has the latest.
Former President Donald Trump says this is not where he should have been today, in a Manhattan courtroom, facing allegations he falsified records to cover up a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Instead, Trump says he should be in Florida with his wife Melania, celebrating her birthday.
I'll be going there this evening after this case finishes up, this horrible, unconstitutional case.
The 8th day of Trump's hush money criminal trial included cross-examination by Trump's legal team of David Pecker. The former National Enquirer publisher is the first to testify in the case and told prosecutors earlier in the week he agreed to spend thousands of dollars to purchase the rights to stories that might embarrass Trump during his 2016 campaign, but not publish them, a process known as catch and kill. Trump's defense team worked to discredit the idea, arguing what was done was not an effort to influence the election, but standard procedure for the tabloid. At the end, an attorney for Trump asked Pecker about his obligations to cooperate with the prosecution. Pecker responded saying, quote, "to be truthful."
Many of us are still debating, second week into this case, what was the crime Trump was trying to conceal?
The prosecution also claims Mr. Trump violated a gag order in the case. The judge has yet to rule and rescheduled a hearing on the matter for May 2nd. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
And coming up, we have more headlines from across the nation.
All right, stay with us.
The Kings of the Lanes lay everything on the line for a major. The PBA Tournament of Champions Finals, Sunday at 1 Eastern on Fox.
For years, I've been inviting you to do business with Down East Toyota. Now let's hear from a customer.
I chose Down East for their reputation and service after the sale. I was unsure about what I wanted, and Sam answered all of my questions. I decided on the RAV4 for reliability and great gas mileage. Sam kept me informed as my vehicle was in transit, and I'll certainly look to him for my next purchase. It was a wonderful experience from start to finish.
Thank you. We hope you'll soon discover that all roads lead to Down East on Wilson Street in Brewer.
Mesothelioma is more than a ravaging illness. It is a disease that can ruin a family's finances and is never the victim's fault.
The law offices of Joe Bornstein has been fighting and winning for Maine families for nearly 50 years, and we've collected over $500 million for injured Mainers. If you or a loved one is a victim of mesothelioma or asbestos-related lung cancer, call Joe today for a free case evaluation and to learn about your family's legal rights. Dial 207-CALL-JOE or online at joebornstein.com.
There's 100 reasons why you should enroll in one of Maine's community colleges. Here are 5. Tuition is free for many, affordable for all. We have hundreds of programs. Our class sizes are small. There's free one-to-one academic advising and tutoring. And we make college flexible. 2-year degrees, 1-year certificates, and short-term training with online, hybrid, and in-person classes. Make your way here. Enroll today at a Maine community college.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Jim Small Engine, Snow's Corner Road, Arlington, brings years of experience and a large parts inventory to make your engine as good as new. Lawnmowers, chainsaws, rototillers, wood splitters, generators, blowers, trimmers, and power washers will leave Jim Small Engines fully repaired, shiny clean, and ready to go. Jim Small Engines is an authorized dealer for these top brands and sells a wide array of used engines as well as new and used parts and accessories. Call Jim Small Engines at 825-3527. Check their website and like them on Facebook.
There is little improvement in the latest readings on inflation. Fox's Jerry Willis shares details.
Inflation showed little signs of letting up in March. The Personal Consumption's Expenditure Index and inflation reading rose 2.7% for the year ending in March, up 2.8% for the year, excluding food and energy. The monthly increases were in line with expectations, up 0.3%, which matches the previous month.
Inflation has shown more stickiness than even we expected, and we've been talking about it now for a good 6 months.
Americans were making a little more last month. Incomes rose 0.5%, and they continued to open their wallets despite steeper prices. Spending was up 0.8%. Economists anticipate spending will slow further in the coming months as consumers continue to grapple with expensive goods, high interest rates, and the resumption of federal student loan payments.
It's really the services sector of the economy that's pushing those prices higher. They have some pricing power, those companies do, and that's going to be a problem going forward.
Meanwhile, consumer sentiment weakened at the end of this month. The University of Michigan's reading dropped to 77.2 from 77.9 in early April. Those responding now believe inflation will average 3.2% in the next year.
And I can just give you a laundry list of things at the supermarket that Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob are buying today that either are much higher in price or, like the chips, you're getting half the size of the bag for the same price that you did a couple of years ago. And if that doesn't change, not good news going forward.
All eyes are on the Fed now and how it reacts to its meeting next week. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
The Biden administration's plan to ban menthol cigarettes has hit a setback. On Friday, officials announced they would again pause the measure proposed by the FDA, the reversal effectively killing any chance the ban will be lifted before the election in November. Fox's Molly Henneberg is in Washington with reaction.
After several delays and lots of controversy, the Biden administration extinguished, for now, any plan to ban the sale of menthol cigarettes. Those are the cigarettes with an added chemical, menthol, that supposedly reduces irritation in a smoker's throat and airway. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra said the administration had received, quote, an immense amount of feedback, including from various elements of the civil rights and criminal justice movement. It's clear that there are still more conversations to have, and that will take significantly more time. Supporters of the ban say it would reduce the number of young people taking up smoking, help smokers quit, and reduce disease and death.
It has a numbing and cooling effect and leads to deeper inhalation. The deeper you inhale, the more toxins and nicotine you take in. The more toxins and nicotine you take in, the more addicted you become.
But critics say it would create a black market of unregulated menthol cigarettes, hurt small convenience stores, and target black smokers, nearly 85% of whom smoke menthol cigarettes, according to the FDA. And there's the matter of the upcoming presidential election.
Now they're saying, well, we're not going to do that because we think that saving lives is outweighed by the fact that we need support from the majority of users of menthol cigarettes, which are Black and Latino Americans.
Still, the ban has had the support of the NAACP and members of the Congressional Black Caucus. In Washington, Molly Henneberg, Fox News.
A federal agency is preparing a vote to restore a rule for broadband companies. The Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, is expected to reenact what's called net neutrality by reclassifying major companies as common carriers. Advocates say net neutrality prevents providers from restricting or limiting service to customers based on price. Some industry experts say the revival of the rule could limit innovation and enforce strict price regulations for internet service providers. The FCC originally repealed net neutrality in 2017.
Federal officials are calling for some cows to be tested for the bird flu virus. The Department of Agriculture issues a federal order stating all cows must be tested for the bird flu before being transported across state lines between farms. The order follows an announcement from the FDA stating particles of the virus were found in some samples of pasteurized milk. An outbreak of the virus was first discovered in March, and the FDA previously told farmers to get rid of the milk that came from sick cows, while the USDA instructed that they test symptomatic cows. The FDA says it's conducting a nationwide survey of commercially sold milk to determine the source of the contaminated products.
All right.
When we come back, we're going to have our full 5-day forecast. We alluded to some really nice days ahead.
Yeah, we're hoping to see more detail on that, so stay with us.
High temperatures back in the mid-50s across the area today. Tomorrow, though, we're going for low 60s. More on that when I come back.
You're in the driver's seat. You choose what road to take. But soon, you'll be taking a back seat to big government because President Biden just banned most new gas-powered cars. They've made it clear it's their way or the highway, even if electric vehicles aren't right for you or your family. Call Senator King. Tell him to stop the car ban before it's too late. Don'tBanOurCars.com. Paid for by American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers.
Bipolar 1, I got help to push back.
I got help to push back.
We got help to push back with Lybalvi.
Once daily prescription Lybalvi is proven to treat manic or mixed episodes of bipolar 1 in adults to help you push back. Elderly patients with dementia have increased risk of death or stroke. Do not take Lybalvi if you are taking opioids or are in opioid withdrawal. The samidorphan in Lybalvi can cause severe opioid withdrawal that can lead to hospitalization or increased risk of life-threatening overdose. Get emergency help if you have trouble breathing, become very drowsy with slowed or shallow breathing, feel faint, very dizzy or confused, or have a fever, stiff muscles, rash, swollen glands, or problems with your liver, kidneys, heart, or lungs. Other serious side effects may include high cholesterol, weight gain, potentially fatal high blood sugar, uncontrolled body movements which may be permanent, dizziness upon standing or falls.
Are you ready? Ask your doctor about Lybalvi. Looking for copay savings? Text copay to 45286.
If you've been injured and think you can't afford a lawyer, think again.
Lowry & Associates can be your lawyers, and there's no fee unless they win your case.
We don't get paid unless you get paid. We call it the Lowry Guarantee.
They win or it's free. That's the Lowry Guarantee.
Lowry & Associates settled my case for $195,000.
Call the twos. We win for you.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do you do? Call 222-2222.
Hello, Crapopolis! From creator Dan Harmon comes TV's #1 new comedy.
How did I live without this?
Crapopolis, all new, Sundays on Fox.
Here we go. Your full weather is brought to you by Varney Ford, the nice car and truck people. And the weather today was fantastic, wasn't it? High temperatures back mid-50s, plenty of sunshine, a light wind. Tomorrow, though, plenty of sunshine, a light wind, and low 60s are back in the forecast tomorrow afternoon as we're building some heat across the plains right now. Now, no 80s for us for a while, but overall, we could get closer to 65-ish tomorrow and also probably on Sunday. Going forward, though, the wind out there now hardly existent, right? It's going to go calm for several hours tonight and then come back tomorrow around 10 miles per hour throughout the afternoon. We can definitely deal with that for sure. It won't get windy again, most likely probably until Monday or Tuesday of next week. Okay, so out there now, this thing is on. There's just no clouds across our area currently. So clear skies tonight, clear skies tomorrow, followed by increasing clouds tomorrow afternoon will give us a chance for some rain, light rain showers later on Sunday. Not tomorrow, but Sunday into Monday evening. Until then, high pressure firmly in control for pretty much everybody. That will keep us very nice tomorrow. So all your outside projects tomorrow are a go with sunshine and high temperatures hanging out near 60. And then here comes our mess in the west, right? This thing is a strong, powerful system making national news tonight with severe weather across the plains. It's slowly going to slide in our direction. So likely not getting here till later on Sunday into Monday. But overall, once it does, some rain will be back in the forecast then. All right, so lots of clear skies out there for us tonight. Clear skies through much of tomorrow, followed by the chance for some showers later Sunday into Monday, and then again probably late Monday into Tuesday. The system on Tuesday looks kind of wet around here. That could bring us probably a quarter inch of rain. Until then, though, running this through Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe a tenth of an inch of rain. Not much going on here at all. A kind of a dry stretch of weather for us going forward, at least into the weekend, and probably up through Monday of next week. If you are sniffling and sneezing, this could be a reason why. The tree pollen, moderate category now. It'll likely be in the high category come Monday, and then grass pollen will not be so far behind, so get ready. If you suffer from allergens, this could be a reason why. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is lots of clear skies and very comfortable out there. A calm wind, too. Look for low temperatures down near 30. For tomorrow, lots of sunshine tomorrow. Highs back in the low to mid 60s with little to no wind through the afternoon. It's going to make it feel much warmer tomorrow. And then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows the story. 64 tomorrow, lots of sunshine. A few of us could do upper 60s for highs tomorrow. Sunday a bit cooler, partly cloudy skies, some more clouds on Sunday. Again, a couple of showers cannot be ruled out Sunday evening into Monday morning. Then we get a breakthrough much of Monday, followed by late Monday into Tuesday, another system getting in here. That's going to drop our temperatures Tuesday to 55 or so, then hanging out in the mid-50s Wednesday into Thursday of next week.
All right, so all in all, pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to spending some time outside this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, and sports is coming right up next.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping us save more money on prescription drugs. Maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, our drug premiums are zero, and our out-of-pocket costs are low.
I enrolled and I'm saving money. If you're single and make less than $23,000 a year, or are a married couple making less than $31,000, you may qualify and save. Even if you don't think you qualify, it pays to find out.
Go to ssa.gov/extrahelp.
Higher shipping rates may be the cost of doing business, but at what cost?
Turn shipping to your advantage with low-cost ground shipping from the United States Postal Service.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home, chances are you have a lot of questions. Norm Prouty has answers. Learn some tips and tricks and explore some beautiful new homes on the market. The Norm Prouty and Donnell Baker Real Estate Show, Sunday mornings at 8:30 on Fox 22.
There's no better season than truck season at Quirk Chevrolet in Bangor. Lease 24 Chevy Silverado LT All-Star Edition for $489 per month, or save $3235 on 24 Chevy Equinox LF and buy for $27,495. In the market for a pre-owned vehicle, Quirk Motor City has the next certified car, truck, or SUV you're looking for, with over 400 quality used vehicles to choose from. Together, let's drive at Quirk Chevy in Bangor, Portland, and Rockland.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by Triumph Professional Cleaning Services, providing outstanding commercial cleaning services to Eastern and Central Maine. Triumph Professional Cleaning, creating an environment of cleanliness.
Hey everybody, Ryan Sudol here. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with the NFL. After selecting North Carolina quarterback Drake May third overall last night in the NFL draft, the Patriots giving him some help with their second round selection. The Patriots trading their 34th pick and taking Washington wideout Jalen Polk at 37. Polk had 1,159 yards and 9 touchdowns with the national finalists last year. With holes at the position, he's sure to get playing time this year. Plus, new wide receiver coach Tyler Hughes was an assistant with Washington last season, so some familiarity there. Going back to May, he got a tour of Gillette Stadium Friday. The third overall pick, May, says he is honored to be a Patriot and can't wait to show the fans of New England what he can do.
Just a grinder who's going to put the work in. I think the one thing I'm looking forward to show that the Patriot organization just that I love football, this sport. I don't do it anything else besides winning and hate losing. I think me and my brothers, we did that growing up. No matter anything, keeping score, we just didn't want to lose and have the bragging rights. So I'm looking forward to showing that, and I think it fits right in this organization.
Third-round pick, the Pats picking Caden Wallace, offensive tackle from Penn State. Okay, now let's go over to the baseball diamond. Ellsworth starting hot has a hot start to 2024, and with the teams that they have gone through this early on, things are looking good for them to make another run in B North.
I think we're impressed with how we played, and we're looking to keep doing what we've been doing.
If we can work that hard every single game, we're going to be a hard team to beat.
That's proven true so far, as Ellsworth Eagles baseball is flying high to start 2024.
It's tough coming out of the gym with a very short preseason, and the boys are ready to play, and that's all you can ask for early on.
Especially with the teams they beat. In 2 of their first 3 games, they knocked off defending C North champs Bucksport and last year's A North 1 seed Brewer.
I think it instills us with a lot of confidence. I mean, we know that we belong here and we belong as one of the best teams. We always come in with that mentality, but now we know we have it.
Their exploits on the mound help. Through the first 3 games, the Eagles allowing just 3 runs. Their young pitching staff, led by superstar sophomore Dawson Curtis, is turning heads.
They're super laser-focused kids. A couple of young pitchers have really shown maturity beyond their years, and we still have more to go. It's exciting.
The Bats aren't too shabby either. Yes, they scored a combined 8 runs in their wins against Bucksport and Brewer, but they know that won't last long. Plus, that might be all they need.
We know it's going to come at some point. We've just got to make sure we can put up 2 or 3, and if we put up 2 or 3, I'm very confident in the pitchers that we have and the fact that they're going to win us games.
The journey won't be easy, though. In B North, there's Old Town, who they faced in the title game the last 2 years, MDI, Herman, but iron sharpens iron.
Any team that you play any night can beat you. If you come in flat, it could be a really bad day for you, no matter what your record is. So I think it helps all of us by the end of the season.
And when that comes, the Eagles believe their prospects are great to raise their second Gold Glove in 3 seasons.
I think we can ride this train as far as we can, as long as we can put our minds to it.
Whatever we're willing to put into it, I think is what we're going to be able to get out of it. As long as we can keep being competitive every single pitch, we're going to win our games.
And hey, one of the big tests for the Eagles coming Friday afternoon. They travel to Old Town to face the defending state champion Coyotes. Here we go, a rematch, like we said earlier, of the last 2 B North title games. Bottom third, Ellsworth threatening with a man on second, but freshman Julian Duty gets Jackson Berry looking, keeping us tied at none. Bottom fourth, Old Town now trying to push a run across. This time, Braden King returns the favor, gets Duty looking to keep us at zeros. Bottom 5 now, Alex McCannell at the dish with runners at first and second, and he sends one into the gap, scoring Carter Savigny. It is 1-0. Top 6 now, Ellsworth with runners on first and third. Tyler Priest gets Thomas Jude swinging. Jackson Lazat fires to McCannell, and he gets the runner out at second. Strike him out, throw him out. Coyotes shut out the Eagles. They win 2-0. All right, now let's head just across the way to Orono for some UMaine baseball. Black Bears losers of 8 straight. Big one today as they open up their series against conference foe Binghamton. Let's start things off in the top of the 6th. It's 2-1 Maine until Binghamton's Mike Stellerecht rolls one into center field. Zach Regacki and Devin Bades score. It is 3-2. Okay, to the bottom half of the inning. No score for Maine. Jeremiah Jenkins at the plate, and this one is a no-doubter. This is going to go off the scoreboard, his second homer of the game, and he ties it up at 3. And in the bottom of the 9th, this is from the ESPN Plus broadcast of the game. Jeff Hadson-Taylor with Jake Marquez at third. Skies one into right. The play is made there. Here comes Marquez on the sacrifice. The throw will not be in time, and the Black Bears walk it off to break the skid. 4-3, the final. All right, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
It's your journey. Own every mile in the new Hyundai Elantra with America's best warranty. Lease a Hyundai Elantra for only $179 a month, or get 3.89% APR, or up to $1,000 bonus cash. See your Bangor Hyundai dealer today.
Hello, Ghostbusters. It's Doug. We help people customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. We got a bit of a situation. Sure, I can hold. Liberty, 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 liberty. In theaters now.
Planet Oats so creamy and not watery like.
Exactly, and unsweetened, has 0 grams of sugar.
And don't forget, it's an excellent source of calcium. Wow, Planet Oat really has it all.
You guys are so right.
No, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are. Yeah, you are.
When Electrify Maine wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Electrify Maine provides outstanding electrical services to eastern and central Maine. They are a licensed Generac dealer specializing in generator and heat pump installs. Call today for a free estimate.
From the land to the sea, Chase's Family Restaurant is the place to be.
Are you looking for a place to unwind after a long day?
Then come check out our Hideaway Lounge.
With a bar that's both upbeat and laid back. And it's the perfect atmosphere for anyone who wants to unwind after work.
Or kick it up for the weekend with daily drink specials and a full dinner menu.
You can fill up on a good time any night of the week.
Thank you for being a part of our family.
Here at Chase's Family Restaurant.
Hey, Red Sox fans. You've got to play You Pick 'em Red Sox at foxbangor.com. Local weekly winners receive prizes from Chase's Family Restaurant and Hideaway Lounge, or from Chick-fil-A. Register now at foxbangor.com. You Pick 'em Red Sox is sponsored by Blind Faith Tattoo, Bangor, K&M Auto, Holden, Old Town Redemption Center, and Twin City Tile Brewer.
The Hyundai Palisade. With advanced tech and award-winning safety, there's joy in every journey. Lease an all-wheel drive Palisade SEL for only $349 a month, or step up and get a limited with $1,250 bonus cash. See your Bangor Hyundai dealer today.
John Hamm stars as Detective Marvin Flute in Grim Bite. Big Bite. Grimsburg. All new Sundays on Fox.
Pierce Brosnan is suiting up to play a spy. Jennifer Aniston takes an iconic workplace comedy and more. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has the latest in the Hollywood Nation.
Crow battles demons. An iconic trilogy returns to theaters, and Aniston reboots in the Hollywood Nation.
Jennifer on the right side.
Jennifer Aniston will revamp an 80s classic. The morning show star and her production company, Echo Films, will produce a modern remake of the iconic comedy 9 to 5. Oscar-winning Juno screenwriter Diablo Cody will write the script. The original film starred Jane Fonda, Dolly Parton, and Lily Tomlin.
Become who you are born to be.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy heads back to the big screen. Warner Brothers and Fathom Events will release remastered and extended versions of Peter Jackson's Oscar-winning films. They will screen across 3 days, starting June 8th, with 2001's The Fellowship of the Ring, followed by 2002's The Two Towers, and 2003's The Return of the King. Pierce Brosnan is returning to the world of espionage. The former James Bond star will lead the romantic thriller A Spy's Guide to Survival. He will play a reclusive spy forced out of retirement when his new neighbor digs up both their secrets.
Wow!
Diane Keaton, Kathy Bates, and Alfre Woodard bond in today's first looks. The legendary actors star in the comedy Summer Camp about 3 childhood best friends who get back together at their summer camp reunion. The film arrives in theaters May 31st. The trailer for The Exorcism features Oscar winner Russell Crowe playing a troubled actor who starts to unravel when shooting a supernatural horror film. It opens in theaters June 7th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
By day, Steve Silberberg is a mild-mannered, fit packing guide traveling all over the world to help people get in shape. But on the side, he has a very interesting and steadily growing collection. You can find out more in this week's Destination Devon.
What kept you collecting?
I thought, how can I ensure that women won't go out on a date with me? And that's what I came up with.
Barfbags.com is exactly what it sounds like, but I still won't spare you any details. It's an online museum that showcases thousands upon thousands of motion sickness bags. The site's creator-curator is Maynard Steve Silberberg, an emesis bag enthusiast who's been collecting sickness sacks for decades.
I probably have the 10th largest collection in the world.
His interest in puke parcels began when he took a flight from Chicago to Boston for college.
And I saw the bag and had that eureka moment. It's like, oh, I bet I can collect these.
After that, he'd get bags from buddies or on his occasional flight, but things really took off in the age of the internet. Online, Steve was able to find an international community of vomit bag collectors and admirers eager to trade and in some cases donate their treasured receptacles.
There are a number of people who have silently collected air sickness bags all their lives, and then their wives made them throw them out, so they send them to me.
Out of the thousands, there are a few puke bags that stand out among the rest. For example, this bag was sent out with the promotional material for the 1997 video game Colony Wars. You can see why you might need it. But according to Steve, the crown jewel of his collection is a bag that might have actually been to space. It's an official NASA-issued emesis bag for astronauts. But how he got it is rather hush-hush.
Years ago, I wrote away to NASA to try to get one, and they sent me an official letter saying this is a government secret. We can't possibly part with this.
Such an impressive collection has garnered its fair share of attention. Most recently, Steve and his museum were featured in The Last Barf Bag, a mini-documentary that explores the relation between the rise of the motion sickness drug Dramamine and the decline of barf bags.
Dramamine would like to assert that it's because of them, and I won't say that there's no validity to that.
To check out The Last Barf Bag or barfbags.com, follow the links on our website, foxbangor.com. In studio, I'm Devin Dagnall for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Definitely not the first thing I would think of when it comes to, like, what do I want to collect, but certainly interesting and kind of, ubiquitous. And I definitely want to peek at the Air Force One barf bag.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And, you got to imagine if that was, like a novelty item or like a real deal.
Did somebody actually jack one and then sell it off?
Yeah, but I mean, that said, I'm sure that being on Air Force One could be a little intimidating. So why not?
Maybe there was just some turbulence. You don't know.
That too.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22, take care and good night.
Good night, everyone.